Good afternoon, Toronto. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce Levi Super L Loblack to the Radio Region broadcast facilities. I'm Cool Breeze, Curtis Anthony, the Experience Show in Toronto. We're going to talk about your evolution.
Thank you, man.
Your vision, your mission of your music. Cool Breeze is here to chronicle the vibe and magnify your brilliance. An honor to have you on my show.
It's an honor to be here. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me, Cool Breeze, here at Region Radio.
Yes.
It's my first time being here, and then just watching your workshop, I can see that you're very comfortable, and you made me feel very comfortable. As I said, the lady in the morning that in the front desk,
yes,
very hospitably, he invited me in.
Yes.
So I feel like family right now.
Thank you. This is what it's all about, and I always tell my artists, the first thing at Radio Region starts with love.
That's a good
honor,
thing.
Respect.
That's a good thing.
And
that's
everything falls into place.
That's a beautiful thing.
Thank
beautiful
you.
thing to know.
Thank you. Before we get into the meat of things,
yes.
How's life?
Well, I can't really complain, because as an old-fashioned guy, they say, well, complaining people don't really. The more you complain, is the more nobody listens to you. So you got to try to be a little more focused and getting you to the next destination, so to speak.
Yes.
So I take it one day at a time,
Right on. Well said. What's a normal day for you outside of music, Levi?
Well, trust me, I'm the kind of guy that like to do a lot of outdoor things. Like I like I'm from the countryside of the island of Dominica, the nature island of Dominica, and I grew up in the city. Right. So most of the times, besides the music, I would go to the lakes, to the rivers, to get my wisdom into writing, and producing, the waterfalls, the beach, go way when sometimes places where not even the tourists know their secrets, and I go to adventure these places just to get the wisdom by myself. All you hear is the birds, the sounds of the breeze, cool breeze.
Yes, love that. That's quite the illuminating explanation.
You understand what I'm saying?
I like that. So, what got you into music?
Actually, at the early age of 5, though, I came from a very political background. And I'm going to try to sum it up for you so you really understand. My dad was the founder of the trade unions in Dominica and collaborated with most of the ministers of government, prime ministers, the premier, and those guys from, like, for instance, Eric Williams from Trinidad, Burnham from Guyana, Errol Barrow, and all these guys in the early stages as a young boy growing up. And he, in his frustration, trying to get his facts and things together in the union, he would be singing by himself. Yeah, actually he's from the south country of Dominica called Grand Bay. Grand Bay is the south, closest to Martinique area,
right?
And he used to sit down, and I used to hear him by himself, trying to solve situations, trying to get better conditions for people in Dominica in the union. So it was very small, and hearing him singing songs, in the traditional French, because Dominica is once French.
Okay.
The French, after the French took over, the British took over, but the French left a heritage, French heritage, like a Creole.
Right.
Dominica is not a patois, it's different. Patois is like patois is like Jamaica.
Okay.
But Creole, it's the French words. You could say Kuma ça va,
right,
and this is a French dialect. Kuma oye is an African dialect. So the black people that were on the islands there, the slaves, they would combine the African and the French to throw off the massa on the plantations. Okay. So it's a Creole, because the French will understand one little thing, but as soon as they continue, you're lost, so that's Creole really. Okay. It's a different type of dialect. So my dad used to speak that, and he would have his songs in that stuff, which I don't know, so in his frustration,
Describe the music coming out of Dominica. What's that called? Well,
Dominica has gone through a trend of different rhythms, really. The traditional rhythms of the country is from the French, with the left behind. It was the heel and toe polka, jingping, the bele, the quadrille, and the mazouk. But the people on the island were bombarded because all the countries in the island, in the Caribbean, were still under British control. So the radio stations were dominantly English music they were playing at that time. So you will hear rock and roll music, Led Zeppelin, Kool and the Gang, Tower of Power, Montreal, Chicago, Elvis Presley and those kind of stuff. But within there, the local artists and musicians would try to incorporate a little dialect into their music,
Okay.
which they invented their music called Kadaslipso in the early stages.
Cadastro.
So Kadaslipso was something that some of the musicians in Dominica that were frustrated just being here wanted to try to get themselves on another level. And at that time, the Haitians were coming on that side of the country, of the island, including Martinique and Guadeloupe, which they dominated during that time.
Right.
Because Haitian population was very huge, migrating to Martinique and Guadeloupe, and the Dominican people going there, trying to incorporate something from the Haitian music, which they discover called Kadaslipso.
Cadastro.
That's how it all started.
What other music modern music they have in Dominica?
Well, right now, the younger generation, during that period of time, there was a revolution going on in Martinique and Guadeloupe, and the French government was, the people in Guadeloupe was trying to get independence from France, which France never wanted, and France don't want that. So what France did is, because of the frustration, because France make sure what they did is something to keep them quiet, give them an international band, which is Kassav you're hearing about.
Oh, okay.
Because what used to happen is the French Creole was never being spoken of or played on the radio station or the TV shows in Guadeloupe and Martinique.
Okay.
So the Dominican musicians that went over there were actually more popular, including during that time, because French groups didn't really have French bands as such. One or two, the Viking or Typical Combo or Martinique would have maybe a band called Perfecta. But Dominican bands like Gramax, Exile One, Below Men, a Trinidadian guy that led the Dominican force in there. It was just over 100 Dominican bands, and Haitian bands just took over the French countries. But then they were being, like they were trampled on, and they were feeling real culturally bombarded by these people, and they wanted to get their own. So that's when they bring the big bad man called Jacob. And Jacob decided he has to try to do something, and he literally, with the government of France and the politics, the business, put together a band, a force, like Cool and like Earth, Wind and Fire. In other words, they went all over the French countries of Martinique and Guadeloupe and get the best of the best to put a band together, so that Guadeloupe and Martinique finally can have what is theirs, called Kassav, and the music called Zouk, which means we're going to party.
Oh, okay.
You understand? That's the name of, that's what Zouk means.
Right.
We're going to party in the French language.
It has a nice rhythm, man.
I'm telling you, it has a dangerous.
I saw
not
Kassav.
nice is not the word. A dangerous rhythm. You understand? Yeah, I'm telling you.
I saw Kassav a few summers ago. Man, they were just totally off the chain.
Well, you see, the thing is, the French government.
Good rhythm.
Yeah, the French government sent these guys to school to study music professionally.
Oh, okay.
Most of the musicians from France, from Guadeloupe and Martinique, they are you'll find the average musician are educated in music, piano. Most of them are great pianists, great flutists, great percussionists. They take their art form very seriously. Whereas from my country, most of the musicians that learn to play music is from just hearing things from the radio, because we only had one little musical school called Mr. Christian Musical School. And Mr. Christian was just the fortunate few rich folks in Dominica that could send their children. Which poor folk could send their kids to that? They come on.
Yeah.
You know, so most of the musicians, like myself, I didn't go to school to learn to play music. It was what I was hearing on the radio, and I just learned by myself and other friends that were around me.
Right.
You know?
Now, what was your big break turning point that accelerated your musical growth?
Well, what happened is, as I was growing up in high school and stuff like that, I used to get involved into the celebration steadily, because there was a cultural group called the Souffle Moutain culture. It's like Trinidad have one, Saint Lucia have one, a cultural church, like a religious group, like a gospel group that comes together, and during the independence celebration they would sing all the traditional songs together. So I got myself in there playing drums and singing in the background until I started getting recognition with my voice. And there was a gentleman in Dominica that was in charge of the cultural department at the time, doing cultural stuff, called Mr. Alwyn Booley. Mr. Alwyn Booley was one of the people that studied I think he studied in overseas in West Indies University and those places. I'm not too sure where he did his, but he was very known in the Caribbean, and he came back to Dominica with his wife, Anita Booley, to do a play called Jesus Christ Superstar, a mimic of the original script from Britain, Jesus Christ Superstar, which I played the part of Judas
Right.
and he played the part of Jesus.
Okay.
You see, so that's how I happened
Right.
to get my chance in the musical industry in Dominica,
Right.
because right after 42 shows, the biggest band in the Caribbean at the time with Byron Lee was the Dominica Swinging Stars. When they heard me, they called me in immediately.
Right. Now, I hear some talk you used to be on the University Avenue on those trucks.
Well,
So you can tell us a bit about that.
you see, again, as soon as I got into Swinging Stars, in those days I had no DJs.
Right.
DJs was invented. I want to take some props, you know. What I used to do,
That's good.
well, what happened is, I'll tell you honestly, Swinging Stars used to be playing, as a young boy, 17 years, 18 years,
Right.
I'm singing from 9 o'clock when the dance starts, till 6 sometimes in the morning.
That's a long task, man.
Yeah, you have one break at 12:30 between there, and then you have to be back. And in those days, because there's no DJ, you have to be singing all the different songs, like ballad songs, reggae songs, whatever is popular on the market.
Multi-versatile.
You have to be a multi-versatile singer to be able to satisfy the people. So what happened is, I used to go around with a little Pioneer tape recorder to save the intermission. And just be like you do in like Coolbridge. You do like, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good night, good whatever. And I would just play cassettes of the popular songs that the band's not playing at the time.
Right.
And then just give us a break so that we can get a break. And that's how it all started. you know?
Okay. Now, going back to University Avenue days, you were on the trucks, and the place was swinging. I mean, that was the best Carabana period for me, being on that strip.
I believe so. I would say so, because that I came here in 1980 with the Dominica Swinging Stars, with the first
Mecca,
time, and
Carabana.
I remember we were going down University Bridge in the hospitals there, and in those days I was singing, you know, those dangerous songs from Blue Boy,
Yes.
up Explainer. We want a woman on the bass dancer. I was standing in the grandstand up in the savannah. Those kind of, and I'm a little boy, I'm a young man,
right.
and I have those German boots on. I have the tights.
We're gonna talk about that. I understand that you went to Germany, bought those boots before Michael Jackson with the strip.
Oh
on the
yeah,
side.
I had that long. I had them things long before all them things. I was I used to get myself in trouble in my country for presenting myself on stage, because I mean, my country don't have population.
Right.
And when you're a very artistic kid of that genre,
Radical.
you're ahead of your time. You know what I mean? And
Radicalism.
you're going to have a lot of haters.
Yes.
You're going to get people thinking you're like, they have Dominic have a terminology calling boast, like boaster. But I wasn't boasting. I was just presenting myself.
Right.
I think what they wanted to maybe say, the terminology is, he's a very fashionable
Right.
individual. You know, I think that's what they wanted to say.
Sparrow had sing a song back in the 70s. Say in that song you couldn't plait your head in
Exactly.
in Dominica.
No, you can't. No, that was a problem too. That was
Okay.
you can't have the
No braids.
no long locks, no that kind of stuff. Because I think it's population. You know, the
Right.
smaller the population, more
control.
is the more control there is. As soon as people start coming in and television start coming in, making it worse. Now the internet is there.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. You know, nobody cares.
Well, you on the truck in those days.
So talking about that was the
you
most.
got the long locks shaking. I'm
telling you.
driving the ladies crazy.
Driving and I was really buffed in those days. You know, I was like,
Working out.
you know, just trying to keep the body. And I used to have this vest, this
showing up them biceps and triceps.
cut up holes,
chest cavity.
And I think what happened to, I mean, the Jackson Fives had their youngest brother at the time called Randy.
Randy, yes.
I mean, if you look at the Jackson 5's Victory Tour videos, you will see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I used to mimic the way he you know, his stuff. Not even Michael Jackson, but Randy.
Yeah.
His stuff, his clothing, the way he carried. And I keep doing that in the music. And it was just massive on University. This was the best
time, man.
This is the best Carabana I have ever had since I've been in this country.
Me too. You didn't hear all these fights and craziness and politics.
The police used to, the police used to be in the band,
jumping up and
the police women used to be. I can tell you, when I met Paula was my wife now.
Right.
We took a picture together with a police officer, winding up and doing his thing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, having a great time.
I remember those days. Now, you have a few CDs.
Yes.
Out there. Just show one up to the camera. Show them up to the camera.
Definitely.
Oh,
definitely.
this is the best of Super L.
All the calypsos I sang while I was in the competition for the past 10 years in Dominica.
This one here.
This one is. I would like you to put this one first.
Okay.
I think this one was the first CD when I created the band called Levitation with Mr. Skerritt. Mr. Skerritt, the keyboardist.
Is that Bruce Skerritt?
Bruce Skerritt.
I know him.
Yeah.
I had him on my show.
And this one is a Biosa album, but it has a combination, a collection of all the best top songs, which one of them was Message à Bouteille, Message in a Bottle,
Right.
which was nominated on the Black Awards here.
Right.
We had to open for all the black artists here in Toronto. That was an honor being there, for sure.
All right. What musical projects you currently involved with?
Well, right now, as you can see, we are now working for the past 4 years on the Funk and Soul Festival.
Oh,
And the Funk and Soul Festival have been creeping and creeping just by the name. The
Right.
name, Toronto Funk and Soul, it's a big name, like the Jazz Festival. And we knew that when we started that, Paula, which is Paula Leitang, Loblack, the wifey,
Right.
when she started, we knew that the name, it was a very important name to have a product to bring to the people, because you could just say, are you having a concert, Funk and Soul?
right.
And it could just be Funk and Soul anywhere.
Marketing.
But Toronto Funk and Soul,
There's a distinction.
it's a distinction, and it started building from there. And now we're on the 4th annual, so I'm now getting involved in doing a couple cover songs that I used to do before of Jameson Graham, Lionel Richie, Al Jarreau,
Wow.
and so
Oh,
that's
we'll
the
be there.
project.
We're going to be pumping that show for June. We'll be there.
Yeah,
the Radio Region staff will be.
I'm almost halfway there doing. It's like a Creole jazz album with the cover songs. It's in the word. The songs are in English,
Yeah.
but the music is like a Creole jazz.
Yeah.
So you'll.
Levi Loblack, Super L. Tell the fans out there some of the bands you work with in the Caribbean, some of those big names.
Well, I remember coming in here the early times at where the big parties used to be in Toronto during Carabana time is Royal York.
Oh, man.
Royal York, Macedonia Hall.
Oh, next up, my own neighborhood.
And you telling me you had Trade Winds, you had Byron Lee,
Yes.
you had Inner Circle, Lavis Kong,
Yes.
J.I.'s International, Swinging Stars, and you had the big artists in the name of Obreman,
Obreman,
and
yeah.
Ray Packer Jr. And all these guys used to be around Caravan time. All these guys used to come from Buffalo. And you remember this club on Pape used to call These Eyes.
Yes.
That
yes,
was
yes.
really what was happening in the city at the time.
Right.
And it was just huge. It was just huge. And the Marquee on Gerrard Street, the Marquee.
Marquee.
The Marquee was a big a rock and roll club.
Okay.
But they used to have most of the big artists from Trinidad and Guyana in those clubs, you know, like Cutty's Hideaway.
Right.
And it was just like amazing. It was the best times. I play side by side. I mean, I back up the Mighty Sparrow, Kitchener, Blue Boy, David Rodder, every one of them. Yes. I mean, I get so many different offers to be. Even when Marshall started his band Ecstatic, you know, when those guys saw me on stage at Lamport Stadium for the first time, I think they thought that I would Trinidad, but they knew they haven't seen this guy in Trinidad.
Right.
So maybe he must be from Trinidad. Parents in here. But then I am Dominican, and I was fortunate enough to be able to perform with all these artists. I had that kind of dynamism thing, training from the Mighty Sparrow, you know. So
what was that like? That playing with the Mighty Sparrow?
well, being on stage with Sparrow is an honor in itself, because as I was the lead singer of Swinging Stars, and I was backing him up. And the thing is, in those days, Sparrow would go on stage with different costumes, and I remember he had a song called I'm a Robot, dancing with precision, I say, and he dressed in a robot with lighting on him and so, but then he cannot stay in the costume for the next few songs.
Right.
So
Change,
somebody has to fool the role to get him that
transition.
that transition here, and here handsomely here comes the Super L. Yours truly.
Killing me. I like that.
I mean, I joined this band here in Toronto in 1990 called Instant Jam. Instant Jam was the band, the Trinidadian band led by Mr. Kelly Brown. Kelly Brown, those of you remember, there's some great horn players in Toronto called Skell.
Yes.
And Terry and those guys. Those guys were great hornmen, and they were in this band at the time. And we would back up all these Calypsonians. So I was fortunate to be with Sparrow all the time.
Right.
On stage to back him up all the time.
Wow.
You know, so it
Did
was
you
great.
you jam with Byron Lee at any time?
Definitely.
How was that experience like?
It's a good experience because you see, the thing is, Bownley is Jamaican,
Yes.
and Bownley used to throw his eye on me steadily. You know, he used to throw his eye on me. May his soul rest in peace.
Yeah.
Until sometimes he said, you know what? I need you to do something with us.
Yeah.
As not just he, you know, you had Ecstatic, you had Chandelier, because you know, they were looking for dynamic stage personalities.
Right.
Because you're talking about the Frankie Macintosh guys, you're talking about about Lucas, Colin Lucas and Leon Caldero and those guys in those days, and we were the guys, we were the main guys.
Right.
We're talking about Nathan Phillips Square, the opening of Caribana, and every Caribana opening of Caribana, we want every West Indian to come down on Nathan Phillips Square. You know? In the days of Ellsworth James and those guys, that was what it was.
All right, let me get this clear now.
Yes.
You're married to Lady Funkalicious, Paula
Leighton.
Did you get her into music?
No, she was already into music.
Oh, okay.
Paula actually lived in the south side of Canada, Toronto, way down into St. Catharines, Niagara Falls region.
Right.
And Paula played guitar, she played piano, and
really?
but she kept a low profile. She's a lady that, you can see, she's not a lady that really talks about what she does as such.
Yeah.
But then when we met, you know, she was pretty interested in getting herself to the next level, which, you know, sometimes you run into people and they're not on the same level with you, and it's not going to work. But with Paula, it automatically clicked because our dreams were kind of similar, and she was the most informative person that was genuine with me.
Right.
Because I came here and my family that were here wasn't in music.
Right.
So to be able to know what's going on in Toronto, you need to have somebody that's genuine with you.
Right.
Which we kept our friendship, and up to the rest is history. I don't want to go into that.
Right on.
You know, the rest is history. I mean.
No, you've been here since what? 19?
I here since 1990. When I lived here in 1990.
But you came before.
I came before come here, leave, go, come back, you know, that kind of thing.
Now, I have to ask you, has African Canadian made great strides in the music industry?
In Canada, well, what happened is, you see, there are programs that started lately with SOCAN. Mm-hmm. SOCAN start having these programs, whereas you can file for grants.
Right.
You can like ASCAP also, and all these guys in from Montreal, and so you could go there. And what happened is, if you're lucky and you get a grant, what you're doing in your country, you can try to put a soca album out. You could try to put a Zukus album out. Like we were fortunate, and that's how we get to put out Levitation first CD. Nukawule, we're Nukawule, Levitation of Bruce Skerritt. It was a SOCAN, it was actually at the back. I don't have the original cover with me, but it was a SOCAN grant that started us off. Wow. You know, and because of that, you know, we as black people, that's the avenue, that's the area I can see that we as African people, black people, get a little opportunity to share the Juno Awards with the white folks that here, because even the Jamaicans here that have been here for a while, if it wasn't for the Juno Awards, I don't think, you know, I mean,
it's possible.
And again, as we're talking, I just want to say, may his soul rest in peace, Mr. Gordon, who passed away.
Fitzroy Gordon, G98.7,
who passed away, and that was a radio station that was playing a lot of Jamaican music that saved the day for Jamaica in Toronto.
True. Quite true.
You know, and I say, for what you're doing now, to have me on your program, independent radio station like CIUT, CHRY, and university radio stations, for black people to get themselves heard. What I'm saying, thank you again for having me.
Welcome.
You guys have been doing a major underground job to make that. I also have I am doing that right now. Yes. Tomorrow is my radio show called Experience Creole, which I did at CHRY, which Paula was the host for 15 years.
Wow.
15 years of radio.
Okay.
You know, and that's why she won the by Blacks.
Yeah.
You know, personality award. You know, because she did a lot of work.
Lady Funkalicious.
Lady.
To my mind, has the best voice I heard in Canadian radio.
Serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
First time I heard her, they told me 3 years ago, and a tech guy told me, this at CGRU, this is a funk and R&B station. So I went on the internet.
Yes.
And I heard Paul on the radio. I go, who the heck is that? I just got into radio. I got to meet these people, connect and network.
Yes,
Who is
yes.
that great voice? Because that last time I heard a voice like that on radio
Yes.
is in black radio in the States when I used to travel.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it's because of she. I mean, her as I tell you, she grew up in St. Catharines,
Right.
listening to BLK.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
and if you listen to Paula, tone of voice.
Yes.
She has a crossover from the border.
Yes.
That's
what I found.
Interacting with her friends over the border,
Right.
Back and forth, because she sounds. For me, I'm not because she's my wife. I mean, television channel. She's a good-looking woman,
Yes.
and she'll be a good television host too.
Absolutely.
I mean, you see in television, you see in radio in her.
Right.
And when she started doing this thing, I have tips. If I let you listen to early tips of Paula, you won't believe. I mean,
Okay.
She. Congratulations to you, Paul, if you listen.
Yes, and she got that award. We were there.
Congratulations again. Definitely.
No, the Canadian music scene.
Yes.
There seemed to be some kind of a clique. Some have to go to the States and come back, and maybe one or two in that clique may get in. And how does that enhance or enlighten your perspective?
Well, actually, the thing is, Toronto, Canada on a whole,
Yeah.
it took them a long while to open their arms to rap music.
Right.
Or, I don't want to literally say black music,
Right.
because you had the early stages of Salome Bay and the odd those guys used to perform during Carabana time. St. Kitts, St. Kitts, what's his name again? Can't remember his name, but his surname St. Kitts. George St. Kitts,
right.
and those guys used to sing all this R&B in the early stages,
Right.
but they really didn't have the help, because they were just as equivalent as any American.
This is true.
You know what I mean? Toronto have so many great
It does. It really does.
R&B, hip hop, jazz,
does.
and the thing is, now that even before there were no avenues for them, because they were just doing their thing.
Right.
And when Carabana comes, Carabana Association and the organization would have the odd thing on the islands,
Yes.
and you would see those guys performing.
Right.
But there wasn't a real avenue to say, this week the some promoter or whoever in collaboration with SOCAN and the televisions of Toronto to highlight black music of Toronto. That never happened.
Right.
It's only now that, because of underground, like you guys again, we
Yes.
got to mention the underground.
Right.
If it wasn't for the underground, we wouldn't have a drink.
This is true. When I got into radio over 3 years ago, I was playing music, and you see, the first 6 months, I say, you know what, that novelty wore off, and let me bring a different dynamic. Let me get these local artists in that you don't hear on other radio stations. I was paying attention. I said, let me invest in a video camcorder, banner, branding and marketing. I do all of this by myself. I didn't have to, but I said, they need a voice.
Listen, I
They need a
myself,
voice.
my show is it's the same as you're doing.
Yeah.
The work that you're doing is what I'm doing for my country right now.
Right.
The radio show on a Sunday called Experience Girl. Again, I continue the same Experience Girl from CHRY, 15 years, but I changed the format to accommodate the unknown reggae artist from Dominica, the unknown funk and soul artist from Dominica,
Right.
the unknown rock and roll singer, country and western singer, and I gave them an hour interview like you're talking with me now, and play the music.
Yeah.
And that, you'll be surprised, the work that we're doing right now,
Yeah.
what is going on, people listen.
It's monumental too, because when the Americans hear these artists, they say to me, I didn't know you have that kind of talent over there.
Well, because that's it. I mean, what can I say? What can I say but praise God for internet?
Thanks. And when I started radio, I said I wanted to put Toronto artists at the forefront with independent music.
Yes,
Because they weren't getting the time of day. And the Americans, they got wind of this, and they said, I want a piece of the action.
Yeah, but
I'm growing to a beautiful thing.
honestly, hip hop was this almost similarity situation in the States, surprisingly.
Yeah.
And if you listen to Ice Cube and Ice and all those guys, they sell their CDs behind the cars,
Yeah.
in the trunk,
Oh, yeah.
and hustle in the clubs and do all the hustling. It wasn't on mainstream radio.
That's true.
When Berry Gordy came on the scene, if you know, in the early days, that was the best thing that happened to black music in the United States, because
Quite true.
imagine the things James Brown was doing.
Yeah.
Elvis Presley go on stage. And imagine, in those days, black people couldn't do these things, you know. I mean, we could only do it in our area.
Yeah,
but we couldn't do it, let's say, in a white party, or the president would call you to do, you know, you have to be very formal.
Yes.
You can't be yourself. You have to, you know what I mean? But there comes the Elvis Presley.
Right.
That sees it all from James Brown and this and that. And he did his thing.
Let me ask you, Levi Super L. Motown had this song. Chicago has the blues, the electric blues, and
definitely
they have the southern, with the funk and
yes.
the soul and the. How would you describe Toronto music scene?
It's pretty exciting. I have to say, it has been pretty exciting for the past years.
Does it have an identity though?
Well, that's another problem I have. I'm not sure how the politics will allow us to identify ourselves with it.
Right.
But we have to be careful too, because Toronto, the average person will not say that Toronto is that's why I will not say that's a funky city.
Yes.
They would easier say Montreal might be a funky city because Montreal open its arms to the jazz,
yes,
to the blues, to everything,
funk, yeah.
everything.
Right.
In Montreal, in the summertime, you go to Montreal. There's so much happening there. Right now, you see, as I tell you, the Funk and Soul Festival that we are having right now is a good chance.
Right.
I'm now shopping.
Right.
I'm shopping for a money man.
Right.
I'm shopping for somebody that somebody can invest into the Toronto Funk and Soul Festival to put a platform down.
Right.
Because you're talking about guys like this band that's out there that Paula just gave them. They just got an award from the Funk and Soul.
Is that Kojak?
Oh my God, what's their name again? Paula, please text me. Let me know the name.
Let's call that easy.
Yeah, they just got Paula and them. They just had an award for them. They're
going to be on this card.
No, they played last year.
Oh, Cracker Dawn.
Cracker Dawn, that's my boys.
I had these guys on my show last year.
That's who I want to talk about, Cracker Dawn. And these guys, they paid their dues.
They did. They were like our Earth, Wind and Fire.
You tell me, you listen to those guys and you listen to any American band out there. Yeah. You know, like you before 2 years ago when they played the Funk and Soul, the Mod Club. They played at the Mod Club.
Yes.
And these guys came on stage to play. Jesus, oh holy Jesus Christ, Lord have mercy. These guys were just funky.
Man.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And you never know that have been existing for how many years? Cracker Dawn is almost 40 years together.
Yes.
In the city of Toronto.
Wow.
And that's what I'm telling you.
Right. Levi, some radio broadcasters, and you must have experienced some of these cats, club DJs. Some of them act like they're bigger than rock stars. You can't talk to them and they think they're musicians and they're not. And they carry on with all these shenanigans. What's your take?
Well,
with this ego thing?
To tell you honestly, I don't have any problem with anybody and their ego.
Right.
What my problem is can you write a song? Can you produce a song? Can you perform a song? So if you can't do the above, then in your heart and your body and your soul, you should feel where that is coming from, deserve respect, right?
Right.
So that is where I rest my case.
Okay.
Because to me, most of the DJs that I come across from the Caribbean, and mark you, a lot of American DJs don't behave that way.
No.
I've been to Brooklyn, I've been to many places in the States.
Yes.
They are DJs, but they don't behave that way.
That's why I brought this up.
They don't really behave that way, because if you observe that you will see a band on stage with a DJ.
Yes.
You hardly see a band on stage with a DJ here in Toronto.
Yes.
DJs want it all for themselves. They don't want to compromise. And the thing is, they don't want to compromise. Listen, I noticed something happened one time in a gathering. There was some giveaways. An organization was being part of a DJ was playing. He was the band with the microphone, everything.
Right.
And there was another company participating with them. And all the person wanted to do was, there was a raffle and they wanted to use the microphone to announce.
What's it take?
And the guy refused.
Yeah, because he wanted all the limelight.
And I'm going, well, there's nothing wrong in just letting the lady announce the winner of the raffle in the place. You're part of what's going on.
Yeah.
He has an attitude. He finds an excuse for the mic not working or anything. But 15 minutes later, he's talking some nonsense on the microphone.
Kills me.
You know, it just destroys me the way they behave.
I want to add to that by doing my show. helping independent artists. They called me in Jamaica, Queens, New York
Wow.
to do to MC at the Black Spectrum. I was only there for 5 minutes, but when I got off that stage,
Yes.
musicians, I mean top flight musicians,
Yes,
were coming up
yes.
to me, and I go, what did I do?
Well, because
I'm
you're
like a celebrity.
You're a
yes.
humble man. You're a
Yeah.
humble man. Humbleness is what it takes in the art form.
Yes.
And a lot, even musicians from my country, I
Right.
keep telling them straight, no man is bigger than the art form.
Thank you.
You understand?
Or the institution.
You can, the mighty Father will bless you to play a couple instruments.
Right.
He might bless you to be a DJ.
Yeah.
But if you know the value of having fans,
What?
like, okay, it's only when you carry your own bucket of water on your head,
You know,
and you miss one drop,
Yes.
then you know the value of having water.
that's well said. So when I went to the stage there in Jamaica, Queens, Alvin Wiki Flight, and these cats were on there. They were putting on a hell of a show. John Satchmo, and these guys just off the chain. And I went home and I said, like, what the hell? Who the heck am I? They give me that honor.
Well,
And
yeah.
and it made me feel special.
This because it's your
people-
humbleness.
Yeah, and people said, I know who you are. I don't even know these people.
It's your humble. Look, I came to your show. I was here
Yes.
earlier on, and a guy, a fan of yours, called in,
Yeah.
and he's talking to a guy that I'm now invited on your show.
Yes.
And I'm hearing a fan of yours talking to you and telling you the work that you're doing,
Yes.
and how humbly you are doing the work
Yeah.
on the ground.
Thank you. Thank
It's
you.
very important. I'm telling you.
Right.
You keep on that roll. I'm telling you. I'm not a DJ. You know, I'm only doing that because I want
Right.
to get to the DJs to
Absolutely.
let them know. Because I'm an artist. That's what I do.
Right.
I sing. I perform. But why do I have to get behind the microphone to be a DJ? Because they're not doing their work.
There you go.
They're just not doing the work. So they'll get jealous. They'll say,
Tell me, Levi, when you hear your music play on any radio station, radio region, or you hear Paula, your wife, music
Yes.
being played, what goes through your mind?
I feel flattered, and I feel honored, and I feel happy, and I feel there's something we're doing right.
Right.
You know, because good music is something that whether you're a bad DJ
Yeah.
or you're a good DJ,
Yes.
good music always tempts you to get it to be played.
Yes.
It tempts you to put your hand on it. Some of them play, as I tell you, DJs play what they want.
Right.
A good
This is
DJ don't play what he wants. He plays the music for the people.
Right.
What the people love. But good music is something a DJ would always put his hand on.
Right.
You see, like they say some songs don't die. Why do you think the radio station played these songs that don't die? Because the DJs put their hands on the songs that don't die.
True.
That's
True.
it. That's
True.
it.
Now, when you're performing on the stage for a crowd, your self-professionalism and what that entails, can you elaborate on that?
Well, that's another world by itself.
Yeah.
In itself, it's some people are comfortable off stage,
Right.
and some people are comfortable on stage.
Right.
I am comfortable on stage.
Okay.
Off stage, I want to get out of the crowd. Really,
Right,
I want to get out of here and go about my business. And so,
Yeah.
because the thing is, after you perform, when you come on stage, you have to go in a mindset like a transcendental meditative mindset.
Gotcha.
Because people can throw you off on stage
Mhm.
while you're singing your own song and you forget your own words.
Right.
That's because you're not focused. So you have to pretend like you're seeing the crowd,
Right.
but in the meantime, you're not seeing anybody. So in other words, your eye is going straight through,
Right.
but your mind is focused on the concert that you're doing.
All right.
And that's how you get comfortable
Okay.
on stage. You
Now,
know?
when you're on stage and the crowd is giving you that energy, that mystical, magical moment
Yes.
of madness,
Yes.
and you give back to that crowd, what goes through in the process?
It's like okay, it's a thriller in itself. It's a thriller, but you have to want to give back,
Right.
Because it's two hands that washes the other. Eh?
Absolutely.
So you have to be following the script. You have to be following the script because when people start giving you the vibe, you as the artist have to give them the vibe. You can't just get carried away and just take them on another high about you just go in your own world by themselves and leave them stranded.
Right.
Like if I tell you, put your hand in. Okay, we're gonna get ready to put your hands. Everybody, put your hands in the air. Those of you in the corner over there. Those of you to the left. Those of you to the right. You gotta keep them in perspective, keep them going,
Yes.
and just keep them to the left. Okay, we're going to all do it together.
Yeah.
This is a chemistry. You have to be able to. I think one of these days you must look at a video of Kassav.
I will.
And when you look at Kassav, the lead singer of Kassav called Philip Martelly, this guy called Philip Martelly,
Right.
you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Good.
Being
I
in
will-
control.
I will take a.
You
look
must
at
take
that.
a look and you'll see what I'm talking about.
All right. Now, one of the things when I got into radio, I said I wasn't just going to play music. I'll dig up the crates,
Yes.
bring my wisdom with the mix, little wit, and make it dynamic. And I always like to talk about the struggle with music. Now, for instance, you see musicians make a lot of money.
That's what.
Asset rich and
Yes.
cash poor, and being sent back to the ghetto
Yes.
with nothing but a legacy to their children.
Yes.
Now, how do we fix these things?
Well, again, as I tell you, the early days had no copyrights to start with.
Okay.
There were no copyrights.
Right.
A guy was just singing for fun.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you would find that promoters would have these artists or bands to perform, and they are the ones charging whatever money there is. Let's say there's a concert going on, and you're a promoter and you charge $45 to come to the show, and the shows are sold out.
Right.
In your heart, as the promoter, even before the band go on stage,
Okay.
you should already know
Right.
that what he's going to do there worthwhile,
Right.
so to speak.
Okay.
So your budget that in your mind of the profits that what in your mind
Yeah.
should accommodate the artist already.
Oh,
you should
right.
have already ready to take care of the artist.
Okay.
You see, but who's going to do that? Only Mother Teresa going to do that.
Right. Now, if you could change a couple of things about the music industry, what would that be?
I think the first thing it would be the concept of pay. The concept of pay. The concept of pay. The reason why I'm saying that is because I evaluate you on what type of performance you have done in the past.
Right.
And I respect whatever you do, and it's like any other job.
Yeah.
Like your manager hears good stuff about you.
Right.
Okay, and he follows you in the job, and people are talking about you, and he goes stop you one day and he says, listen, I heard good things about you on the plant. I'm going to raise your pay, you know that I'm going to give you a raise,
Right.
but not 2 cents.
Yes.
He's going to give you a $5 raise, a raise that you can say, a raise. If I take you from the ground floor and I give you a raise, I want you to be on the 7th floor.
Right.
That's a raise.
That's right.
So this is what I'm trying to say. These promoters and these people, what I would like to change is people valuating people.
Right. Now, I saw something that totally disturbed me on Facebook. Thank God for it. You get the good stuff with the bad. Spotify, all these avenues for music, how they pay you by
Yes.
cents.
Yeah.
How could somebody sell 2 million albums
At
or
99
songs
cents.
and end up with $2,500 at the end of the day? That makes no sense to me. That's a
Because-
harbor sharking industry.
Because the percentage they're taking for you to maintain you having your songs on, they may be taking 85% from the 99 cents.
Wow.
And before you even sign up to these people, you have to shop around, because there are other avenues. There's MP3 Music Factory that we have, which is a local MP3 Music Factory, is a local factory
Right.
that we have for TD and radio, which is doing well.
Right.
We open up PayPal for you. Any Caribbean artist, you pay 6 cents of the 99 cents to maintain your page. You send your people there, and you get your money directly. That is different, but it's where you want to be in the popular. You hear the name Spotify, iTunes, and everybody want to jump
They'll make
before
you
they
pay.
shop.
Yeah,
They'll make you pay because that's what it is. If you shop around,
Yeah.
and you know how to shop as a shopper, you get the best deal.
Yes.
You come across, okay, well, let me see what is this MP3 Music Factory.
Right.
And then you say, okay, well, let me talk to the management and tell you. After you join in and you says, I could have been with you guys long already,
Of course.
and those instead of being of iTunes, because that's what they do. The bigger fish, you see that out there, they always keep the money for themselves.
Yes.
So that's how it works. It's not. I don't blame them, but that's just business. You know what I mean? They just happen to just eat the smaller fishes.
Right.
That's just what it is. The big fish.
Yes.
I'm
just a sardine in the broadcast.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Just a sardine in the Pacific
That's a good
Ocean.
one.
Cool breeze.
That's a good one.
Did you ever envision after all these years your music would have such an impact on the Toronto music scene or Dominica?
Well, what happened is, as I said to you, because of the multi-talented situations, I sing many different styles of music.
Right.
So me as an artist, Like you would go to the jazz festival, Beaches Jazz Festival, and you'd come and say, okay, right now on the jazz festival, presented to you, Mr. Levi, super over. And you'd hear me singing, and now the purple dust of twilight tide. No, that is just one. You'll hear me here.
Yeah.
A little later on down in the month, you'll hear it have a funk and soul show going down, and you'll see me, come on, get up, get down, get funky, get loose. You know, at the same time, a couple months later on, you see a bacchanal. Put you know, or you hear a reggae show going, and I sing, you know, that's it. Because of I as I told you, when I grew up, I was forced to sing all the songs because there were no DJs.
Right.
So my talent that causing me to sing all these different genres of music go around the different nationalities that have different tastes for different kinds of music, including Africans, Italians, the Greeks in Toronto, because Toronto is multicultural.
Right.
A lot of people embrace what I do. You know?
Levi, Super L. I really want to get these independent artists on board, not just coming to the studio and playing their music.
Yes.
From the perspective of, I came to Radio Region. They played my music, we get sound bites, they showcased me really well. But when you look at some of these artists that who came, and there have been a ton of them, on their Facebook, you don't see they promoting Radio Region, but they will have other radio stations. Totally blew me away. Well, the Americans do it, man. You don't even have to tell them.
Well, we see what I'm trying to tell is the followers are followers. You see what I'm saying? Followers, it's bad. That's why I have a big problem with a lot of my people from my country, Dominica too.
Right.
I don't like followers because followers don't make heroes out of people. You know.
True.
If region, like for instance, you see, I'm done now.
Yeah.
I'm expecting you to send some pictures for me.
Yes.
And you will see that if I got to get my pictures from you, then you will see immediately exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I was telling you, I just came from doing an interview with Region Radio that gave me an opportunity to showcase.
Yes.
That's what you got to do.
Because it's helping you, it's helping me, it's helping the radio station. It's a three-way street.
It's a three-way street, but some people don't have that vision.
The Americans, I'm telling
in the
you,
region.
They're on top of this. You see it, Canadians, what's wrong with these people?
But that they're followers.
Yeah.
Most of them are followers. As I'm telling you, there are people out there that follow.
Right.
They want to be, they're thinking they will get a chance where the big cheese is there, you know.
Yes.
You can create your big cheese with the small cheese that you already have.
This is the whole idea.
Because it's, you know, many hands do light work.
Hey, listen, I may be a sardine in the broadcast scene, but I bite like a great white shark.
Yeah, and not only just that, but a sardine team have more than one.
I'm a barracuda.
That's what I mean. That's what it is. You know, truly speaking, I honestly feel that if there were more guys coming together to units working together, different underground radio stations and so can pull together and make things happen for them.
Levi, we have iHeartRadio.
Yes, we have.
We have quadruple every month.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We're top of the community radio echelon. We're #1 for independent artists.
This is sweet.
People made it big in Canada, coming from the States. That totally blew me away.
This is, I'm telling you.
Wow.
And I tell you honestly, as we listen to you, we hear people, big artists that perform. Look at you, just had a guy opening for James Brown, you know.
Yeah.
This is a guy that opened for James Brown.
Right.
There are artists that listen to the underground all the time.
Right.
They play with Ray Parker Jr. You know, they play with all these different. Can you imagine?
3 years ago, I have a Tony Mac, Treasure Rocks Records, Daryl Gibson, them.
Yes.
Told me one day, called there, and Breeze, you know how big you are in Philadelphia? I thought he was smoking something. He said, man, don't you know people know you? You're a household name down in Philly.
Yeah.
And I go, wow, Tony. With this business,
sweet.
I sleep with one eye open.
Yeah, well.
Constantly put in the work, finding angles to bring creativity and innovation to the program, because I want to separate myself
from everyone. It's gonna happen. Trust me, it's gonna happen. You see, because as the table is turning now, and the internet. You see, the thing is, the internet gives you power. You can either be what you be, or if you're crazy, you're crazy.
Yeah. Hey.
If you're constructive, you're constructive.
I'm all of the above.
And if you're all the above,
I'm all that guy.
That's it.
Yeah.
Then you're on the right track. But I think that's what we need to do. We need to work together.
Yes.
We need to network. It's
Precisely.
very important.
Precisely.
And there's look, last night I think Paula attended a workshop. Businessmen trying to meet people that invent ideas.
Yeah. Love that.
And if you don't go to
brainstorming,
if you don't go to these things, you will not know what's out there sitting waiting for you.
Quite true. Well
and this
said.
is very important. You know what I mean?
And I tell the people, and the Americans pointed that out to me first years ago. There's a musical movement starting in Toronto with independent artists, man.
It's amazing.
Because the Matrix is a negative place for independent artists.
I'm telling
we're
you.
breaking those grounds. I'm getting different broadcasters on board.
You tell me.
We're gonna blow this thing
It's
up.
I'm telling you, it's gonna happen because people want it.
Yes.
You know, funk and soul.
They want it.
They want
Reggae,
it.
soul.
They want it.
Yeah.
They'll do anything for it.
Yeah.
But the mainstream radios, as I always telling you, they wait.
Yes.
If you see, they play the game well.
Yes.
You see, they wait and they wait and they wait, and as soon as they see it taking off, they're trying to jump in front of the smaller guy to get it going.
Well, I got news for them.
Oh, you got
They're gonna be a cool
breeze
going in your backyard, and you ain't gonna like that chill.
I love it.
Yeah, you gotta be with the breeze now. Let's work together, man.
Man, I'm telling you, I love it, man. Thanks, man.
Yeah, and when all is said and done for you, Music Levi, how would you like to be remembered?
Well, just an informative person, informative individual that try to make musicians just follow the pattern of musician, the way a musician should live his life as an artist.
Nice.
You know, that's the way I would like to. I would just honestly, just to remember the guy that was trying to get the young people to be on the right track of the industry.
Nice.
That's it.
Where could the music be purchased?
You could still go on MP3 Music Factory, which is our I keep it one place for now.
Right.
Instead of Spotify and iTunes, because I make more money from MP3 Music Factory. Where
can fans find you on social media?
Social media, you could go to superlmusic.com. You will find me on my page. You could find me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm all over the place.
Where are you playing next?
We are getting ready for the Funk and Soul Festival, which is on the 8th of March. Apology. I'm still thinking of new stuff of June. The 8th of June.
That's right.
And this is one of the first
we'll be there.
Big concerts that I'll be doing. And then there's another Taste of Dominica that I do with the organizations, the local organization.
Right.
And this is something dealing with the cultural background of the French Caribbean island of Dominica. They showcase the Taste of Dominica, the taste of the different foods.
Right.
And then I perform there on the hour. And it's beautiful. You're talking about a multicultural happening there.
That concert will be documented. I'm bringing a camera crew.
You should.
Levi, Super L, Loblack, thanks for taking the time to join us at Radio Region Broadcast Facilities in Toronto. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your perspective.
Well, thank
Come
you.
See us.
Thank you, Cool Breeze.
You're
it's
welcome,
a pleasure.
my brother.
Thanks, Region Radio.
Yes.
And keep doing the work that you guys doing, because tomorrow I have my show that I'm going to do what you're doing again.
Thank you.
For the Creole community and Dominica, international artists that they don't even know about.
Right.
You know?
Keep the vibe alive.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome.